Look at me, I'm already showing my guest off and everything. We'll just. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the HVAC Uncensored podcast. I'm your host, Gil KV Jr. You know, we always start this show off, man, by showing love to those companies who show this podcast love. So, guys, the HVAC Uncensored podcast, at first, you guys know, is brought to you by Yellow Jacket. More than 70 years ago, Jack Ritchie set a goal for Ritchie Engineering to become the standard by which all other HVAC hoses are measured. In the last 7 decades, the Yellow Jacket brand has not only become the standard in hoses, tools, refrigeration gauges, manifolds, HVAC vacuum pumps, and refrigerant recovery machines, it's become legendary. How have they done that? Through an unwavering commitment to excellence. It's the single most important attribute in the longevity of the company. While others have sold out or sent work overseas, or lessened quality, the relentlessness commitment of their team has led to over 70 years of best-in-class product, first-class customer service, and innovations that make the contractor's job easier worldwide. Guys, so let's join Yellow Jacket in the next 70 years as they commit to changing the standard once again. Yellow Jacket has knocked it out of the park with their new wireless tools. They're the only one that makes a wireless dual port manometer. And I'm honest, even though they're a sponsor, I do think they were a little late getting some of that stuff out. But you know what? I'd rather be late and be right. I'll be honest with you. They knocked it out of the park. I have used them. I should have other sets here soon to be able to make some videos and show you guys. But it is badass. I love every minute of it. So, guys, love my friends over at Yellow Jacket. You're looking to buy some new tools, make sure you check out Yellow Jacket. 70 years of expertise built into every tool. Next is going to be, guys, my friends over at the Service Hero Academy, the app. Guys, if you did not see what I just posted not long ago, the Service Hero app, this guy got it, has had it for a little bit, and he said it's already paid for itself, how it's made his job easier, being able to communicate things, learning some stuff. They're constantly adding things. So manuals, you go to a unit, you can't find manuals. They have resources in there for that. It is only getting better. It is having somebody, a tech, a teacher, somebody in your pocket with you. You cannot beat it. The Service Hero app. I don't even know what my affiliate link is anymore. So I'm pretty much repping this for nothing because I believe in it, just so you know. I don't care how you get it as long as you get the information you need. The Service Hero app. Guys, next is going to be Schedule Engine. Schedule Engine, if you guys are running a business and I would say that you're a small to mid-sized company, you don't have a good answering service, you have no way for customers to be able to book appointments online, and you need some of those extra services to make yourself look professional, check out Schedule Engine. They have a 24/7 online chat, online booking, so they can add that right to your CRM. And then, after hours, somebody calls in, they have trained professionals in our industry that can answer the phone calls. All right. So it is definitely good to have to step your business up. If you're some big giant company, obviously no. But if you're in that, 3 mil and under, 5 mil and under kind of range, I think I think they are huge. I know some big boys that use them too, but I think they are very, very good for that right there. And that is going to be our friends over at Schedule Engine. Last one, I'm not going to do a read, but I just want to announce a new sponsor to the podcast is going to be Company Cam. They have all kind of discounts they're giving me just for the HVAC Uncensored Nation family. I will pass that along to you guys if it's something you want to try out. But we have a bunch of things coming for Company Cam. All right. Let's get this MF rolling. I have an awesome guest tonight. So we're going to get this pledge rolling, and we're going to get this fucking show going. Sit back, sit tight, and let's rock the fucking roll. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. God bless the United States, and thank you to all those men and women who defend it.
Five, four, three, two, one, go.
Welcome to the #1 rated HVAC podcast. If you're looking to grow in the HVAC industry, then you're in the right spot. Blue collar people talking about blue collar shit. Let's get better together. So turn up the volume, buckle your seatbelt, and let's welcome your host, Gil KV Jr.
Hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome back. Try to make that as quick as possible, but you know we gotta pay the mother freaking bills around here. And why do I look like I'm 9 foot tall? I think this chair's too high. All right, there we go. All right, everybody, I don't want to keep this anymore, man. I have an awesome guest tonight that, if you guys did not see my video from earlier, I have followed him on Instagram, and I finally had the pleasure to be able to meet him and his lovely wife in Vegas at the HVAC Tactical Awards. That's one of the best part, like I said, about HR is networking and getting to finally meet people. And this is one that sparked from that. So, guys, please put your hands together and help me introduce Mr. Keith Flores, AKA HVAC God. Let me make sure I'm unmuting you, buddy. My fault. There we go. What's up, Keith?
Hey, thank you. I appreciate it. And I love the intro, man. I love the Pledge of Allegiance. Hey, everybody that knows me knows how I feel about that. That's awesome.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's something that I've always done with my, military ties, and it's just one of those core values I have that I try to keep. And I know that it's in the trade. There's a lot of guys that get out of the military and they come and they get into the trade. So it's just, especially like we were talking off air, with what's going on in the world, I want to show my patriotism. So,
Hey, brother, I tell you what, every chance I get, my family always knows this. Everybody that knows me, I reach out to the blue. And it's kind of funny because I'll see a couple cops in Newport, and I'll be buying donuts for the guys or whatever, and I'll go buy them a couple packs of donuts and, hey, remember my truck, don't give me a ticket, remember that. I did that for you guys. And then I always thank them, of course, but it's one of those things I love, back in the blue, and definitely the military 100%. That's my core. I love that.
That's awesome, man. That is definitely awesome. Real fast, what is up, everybody? I can't go through and say hello to everybody, but Mr. Zeke, Jose Santos, Mark Welch, what's up, brother? Isaiah, TC, Nate Peterson, hello, everybody. Thank you for coming to watch the show live. I appreciate it. Towards the end of the show, I'll leave time for a Q&A. At that time, I'll let you know. Just make sure you put your questions in all caps. It can be for me or for Keith as we get going the show, and we'll try to answer those at the end. Keith, I guess let everybody, for if people aren't Instagrammers like I used to be, let everybody know who is HVAC God? Who's this God they're hearing about?
So HVAC God, I told you a little bit, and I've talked on other podcasts. It was created years ago by another guy in the industry. We were in the parking lot one day, and this is when I first got into the retro side. We were walking across the parking lot, and he had on the back of his truck back in the day, it said "Got Jesus," and I simply told him, if you're Jesus, that makes me God. And a few months later, literally, he bought me the license plate, and it's stuck ever since. So, and that was, I won't tell you how many years ago, but I was probably about 21, 22 years old at the time. So it was a long, long time ago. And it just stuck ever since. So, I came up in the industry. I started when I was literally 12 years old, doing a side job with my brother-in-law, pulling out ductwork underneath the house. And the next day I went over to his house, and pulled out, he had a stack of cash inside his freezer. Back then, that's where he kept all his cash. And it was nice and cold. And he gave me $200, and I jumped on my bike and rode home. And I told him, hey, any chance you get, let me come and pull out more ductwork for you. And it stuck with me ever since. I grew up in the industry, learned table layout when I was young, and just kept on elevating, going up higher and higher, and owned a few companies. And about a year ago, started another one, and now I'm really diversified, and I own multiple companies, and just kind of try and practice what I preach. Tell everybody, hey, blue collar is where it's at. There's so much money you can make in it as long as you're doing the right thing by the right people, and it'll take care of you as long as you take care of it.
Yeah, I don't think people realize some of the money that's being made in this industry. I mean, I'm talking like big boy money. I mean, there was like
Oh,
companies just sold for $500 million. I mean, this isn't, well, it's not chump change. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. And some of those guys, a lot of those guys, a lot of us never went to college. I was telling you off air, like, I just spoke at Chapman University, and I don't think I'll be ever invited back, just because I was telling them, you're wasting your time here. If you don't know what you're doing in college, what are you doing there? Like, don't spend mommy and daddy's money, or don't drag out all these bills and then graduate and go, what do I do now? So it's one of those things that, if you have a plan and you know what you want to do, and you want to go to college, be a doctor, lawyer, whatever, cool, go do it. But if you don't know, don't just wander around.
Yeah, no, we were talking about this off air, like, and most of you guys that watch and follow me, you know how I feel about it, about kids wasting their money going to college, and it's just that's exactly what it is. And I want all of you to sit down, like me and Keith were talking about this off air, and it's easy to tell somebody else to do something with their children, but the decisions you make with your own, that shows how you really feel. I would let my kids into the trade, if that's what they wanted to do, or they had no idea what they were going to do. But if you have a child that they say, hey, Daddy, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer, or whatever it is they want to be, and they're determined to do it, they have a plan in place to do it, then hey, let them go be happy. But if they don't, would you let your child join the trades? And you really need to answer that question. If the answer is no, then you don't love this trade as much as you think you do. you know?
Yeah, I 100% agree. And like we were talking, I have a son that's in the trade, and when he first graduated, well, right before he graduated high school, we were trying to figure out what's next for you, and he won't mind me saying this. He was, a World of Warcraft type kid, just like video games, and he wanted to be like a mechanical engineer type. Graduated with a 4.3, off the charts, really smart. So I was pretty much figuring he's going off to college, and then, in the summer times, he'd come to work for me and do service tech type stuff and so forth, but clean the shop, whatever. And once he graduated, he came to work for me, and I was really shocked, because everybody to this day still thinks I taught him everything he knows. He knows how to communicate with customers. He knows how to build his social media from me. He knows, how to fix the basics. He knows how to do a proper tune-up, proper diagnostic. But when it comes to the tech side, like all the fancy new tools that everybody has, doing VRF, anything like that, he learned all that from literally YouTube. And now to this day, I will put him up against any service tech out there, hands down. And he's going to get a big head from that. But I know everybody in the industry, coast to coast, or they know me, one way or another. And I know that I could put him in a room with anybody, and he can hold his own.
That's awesome. Like we said off air, man, there is so many tools out there for this industry to make yourself better. There's no excuse, but you got to do it on your own time. Like I think it's great.
100%.
Some of these guys are like, oh, well, I did the class at work. Okay, well then go home and do that shit on your own time. Like I want it to be better. Watch YouTube videos. To be honest, that's why like I don't do a whole lot of technical content, and not because I'm not a good technical guy. Like I'm an above average. I wouldn't say that I'm some like rock star, but I think there's some guys out there as far as like the teaching platform, they do it really good. So it's like why
Yeah.
let them do it. You know what I mean? But yeah, there's so many free things offered out there that you can learn. So if that's a difference between people that this is their career and they want to grow, and people it's just a Monday through Friday job.
Well, remember this. Remember this. So Kobe Bryant, I used to live up the street from Kobe Bryant, and I would see him every morning. We'd have coffee, like, and people can believe it or not, it's the truth. And what he was doing, he'd literally, I'd be up at 5:30, 6 o'clock. There he is getting coffee. I'd get my Starbucks at the same time. We'd have conversations, little brief conversations, but he was getting up, taking his daughter to basketball or volleyball, and he'd go and shoot. Like, if you want to be a professional, which I tell everybody, if you're getting paid for the industry, you should be you're a professional now, right? So learn and practice your trade on your own time. I'll teach you, in the morning for a half an hour, 45 minutes, what I can in that small amount of time. But when you get off work, guess what? That's the time for you to excel. That's when you become the Kobe of the industry. And, a lot of people don't understand that. They want to go home, drink a beer, hang out with their girlfriend, do whatever they want to do. They have to understand that there is so much more in this industry that you can learn on your own. And or reach out to guys like me that will give you 30 minutes of their time, and you can text, you can DM me, whatever it is. And you won't believe how many guys I talk coast to coast on a weekly basis with that I'll jump on the phone with them for a few minutes and they'd be like, hey, how would you approach this call? Hey, this is, in this size house, I just had one the other day, this size house, what would you do per square foot per ton for the amount of airflow because it's this, and this. And I was just like, well, let's dive into this a little more. So he started sending me specs and everything else. And we went down that path. I helped him out. Guys like me are more than willing to do it for free. We don't have to always charge. Like I do get paid to do that, but I also, if you're an independent guy and you want to learn something, why not reach out to guys like me that have been there, done it, like yourself, for me, I feel like I owe it to our industry because the industry has given me so much. I want to give back to it.
Exactly. That's exactly what I say and have been saying. I want to give back to a trade that's given me so much.
And a lot of people don't even know this in our industry, but we're going to come in the next 5 years, we're losing about, we'll call it 300,000 to 500,000 blue collar workers. Now's the time to get in the industry. You're going to be like a necessity over the next 5 years. And it's because guys did not want their kids to go to college or get into trade. They wanted them to go to college. So guess what? Now they're phased out. Now we have this huge gap because it used to be second generation guys coming into this industry. And, back in the 90s, they were being, no, don't go into blue collar. There's no money in it. Go white collar. Well, I got a white collar on. I am white collar, but how I got here is blue collar, right? So to this day, I went and ran 2 calls. We're way overbooked today. So dispatch asked me, hey, can you go run 2 calls? Yeah, I go out there in a suit, and how I addressed the situation right off the bat was both customers, both times looked at me and went, you're the HVAC guy? And I'm like, yeah, I'm dressed pretty nice. I appreciate it. I'm going to go up in your attic. I'm going to take a look around. And I went through the whole process and they were shocked, It's just one of those things that you got to love what you do. And for me, like we were talking off air, I'm pretty diversified. I bought into a bunch of different companies. I'm very well-rounded now. But I love what I do. I love, preaching the industry. I love talking to everybody. I love, getting people's excitement built up about the industry. I have a lot of stuff I would love to discuss. Maybe in 6 months, me and you will sit down and have another podcast because what we're working on, me and some engineers, we're gonna change the industry quite a bit.
Nice. That's
Yeah.
you're more than welcome, man. Definitely hit me up. Come back on, and we'll come on and talk about it. And I also it's with your story, how you said that now you're invested in businesses that aren't even HVAC related. That you don't even business, but you don't even know the particular trade. And that's still that's awesome. And one thing I was saying, but how you said you went from blue collar to white collar, but HVAC was your vessel. So that's how you busted your ass, and that got you and put you in the position you are now to be able to diversify and go into other businesses because you played your cards right and bust your ass off. That's
100%. And a lot of guys don't realize, a lot of people don't know what I do at this point, other than HVAC, and they know I have a consulting firm. But how I met so many people and how I got into all these other businesses now was through HVAC, 100%, through connections through HVAC. And it just kept on building from there. Every connection I make, I'm always trying to figure out, okay, what can I do for this person? What can this person do for me? Is it a long-term play for both of us? Can we both benefit from it? If it's outside the industry, if it's inside the industry, we can always benefit from each other. It's a no-brainer for me. But, a lot of people are afraid to get out of their comfort zone. And for me, I have no problems getting out of my comfort zone. I will talk with the best of them and sit down and have a conversation and just not bullshit my way through it. Like, be truthful. If I don't know something, like we were talking about NFTs earlier, I let those guys handle the NFTs. Hey, I have no idea what this seems like the biggest sham in the world, but we're invested into it. So keep going down that path. Let's figure it out. There's just so many different things right now that I'm dealing with, like we'll call it eight different businesses right now, besides my two core businesses, which are HVAC. But those 8 other businesses all have to do with, if you circle it all back, it got me there by HVAC, 100%. And so when I'm sitting with people and I meet newer people, I always just, hey, so what do you do for a living? Just the other day, I don't know if you follow Fox News, Rick Leventhal. So I got in contact with them through social media on Instagram, him, and he's married to one of the Orange County housewives. Reached out, told me that he has a project. I said, cool, all right. I show up and he's kind of like looking at me going, you're wearing Ferragamo shoes. You're dressed up pretty nice. You got a Rolex on and you're the HVAC guy. And I said, well, I do a bunch of stuff, but I'm here because I know who you are, and like, let's figure out how we can do business together. But that's a contact that I'm going to go later on. Let's stay in contact. A lot of people just look at everybody as a dollar sign versus looking at it as an opportunity to either help them or you, vice versa, right? And so for me, I've always been able to talk to people, and whether I was wearing, my Red Wing boots and holes in my jeans, I could talk to, multimillionaires, and vice versa. Now when I'm wearing suits, and I have no problems going and talking, guys wearing the Red Wings, because I still own 2 pairs of Red Wings. It's one of those things that I don't know how much more I can say it other than it's blue collars where it's at. Like 100%, there's multi-millionaires. There's people with FU money, as just service techs. A lot of guys know a lot of the service techs that I've trained or that are still out there working in the industry, and they're making, $700,000, $800,000 a year being a service technician, and they're not doing anything wrong. A lot of guys look at that and go, "Oh, they're breaking stuff. Oh, they're doing stuff that they shouldn't be doing." No, man, you don't have to do that.
no.
You really don't.
And
As long as you follow a process and steps and make suggestions and options, guess what? You're gonna get a deal. And you might not be a 80% closer, you might be a 50% closer. If you're a 50% closer on, say we'll just call it $10,000 systems, that's good money all day long.
Yeah, and that's what so many people don't realize. And I think there's a lot more of those guys that think that's wrong than think it's right. You know.
Yes, and I rewind about 4 years, 5 years. I used to argue with those guys. I'd be like, what do you guys think? And I try and explain to them, like, we're showing the customer, you deserve a new system. Your system's 20 years old. Yes, we can fix it, but in reality, you should be replacing it. And, those old school guys are still replacing the compressors after 20 years, and yeah, they're doing something right, but they're also not giving the customer the opportunity that they should be showing them. Hey, look, repair versus replace. This is what you can guide them down the replacement. But if the system's 6 years old, maybe they don't need to replace it because the compressor's out. Maybe they should just replace the compressor. Maybe we can get it done under warranty and so forth. It's just a different mentality that you got to be an open mind. Here's a great one. You get so many guys walking into my office and telling me I'm not a salesman. Guess what, motherfucker? Sorry for my language, but guess what, motherfucker? You are a salesman. No matter what you do in life, you're selling. Either they're selling you or you're selling them. Whether it's you trying to sell your wife, hey, babe, how about tonight? Or she's telling you, no, I got a headache. I want to watch, a show.
Yeah.
You're at McDonald's, right? They're telling you, I haven't eaten at McDonald's in a long time, but they tell you, supersize or you want regular. That's a sell. People don't understand. No matter what's happening in life, there's a transaction happening and it's a sell. Either you're being sold or they're selling you. And that's where people always go wrong. And so when people tell me that, I always put some analogies out there, and they start going, no, now I get it. Okay, I understand. So many people, you get the Grant Cardones and those type guys out there, which are very good motivational guys, and they're hardcore sales guys. For me, you gotta tone it back a little bit. The Gary Vaynerchuks, I feel like you don't have to cram it down somebody's throat if you're educating them in the proper way.
No,
right?
I agree.
You don't have to discount your prices, and you hear guys closing these deals all the time, and you hear guys teaching how to sell and that type stuff, If you go to some of those guys' websites, like one of them that I mentioned, you go to his website, it will have a discount, literally, hey, you sign up today, you get 50% off. Well, wait a second. You say in your seminars, you say you don't have to discount. Yeah. It's because they're cramming it down your throat. If you show them the benefits and the features, it should sell the product itself, because what we do is something very beneficial to the homeowner.
Yeah, and I agree with what you said 100%. That's exactly what we preach and what we do at the company that I work at is, we educate. We want to educate the customer. We want to do what nobody in our market, in our area is doing. We're going to provide a service like they've never had before. So it's worth a few more dollars. They're willing to pay for that. We're going to take our time. We respect their time. We're going to be there when we're supposed to be there. I had it turned down. Somebody said my volume was down. Hold on. Yeah, I was messing with it. My fault. Yeah, we're going to be there when we're supposed to be there. And we give them options on everything that we see that needs to be an issue. And if they don't want to do it, they don't want to do it. But at least we did our job and gave them the option. But it's amazing how many times that you give people options and they pick the one that you don't think they would do.
You can't prejudge. So this is what I tell you. Here's a free tidbit for everybody that's paying attention right here. About 8 years ago, when I was running a company, probably 10 years ago, I created an option sheet for everybody, and basically it's good, better, best, like everybody else does. And then there was another option off to the side. You have the option to do absolutely nothing, choose another company if you want, pay the diagnostic fee, and then you'd fill in the diagnostic fee or the tune-up fee, and that's it. And like literally, so basically you have four options, and one of them's to absolutely do nothing. So you're taking that hardcore close away, and then they have three other options. Because let's be real, most systems, if we're going out there, it's probably 5 years or older, right? And they haven't been touched. So there's those things that are, there are little things, coil cleanings, that type stuff. And then there's, indoor air quality and all this other stuff. And you go and start talking to the old school guys, indoor air quality, oh, that's, a magical blue light. They don't understand how it works and that type stuff, or variable speed systems and that. But if you give options and you present them properly, clients will understand. You don't have to cram it down their throat. You don't have to start dropping price. You don't have to do all this. You don't have to be cheap, Charlie. You can make some deals.
Yeah, no, and think about this. All those guys out there that are on the other side, because the ones who do this, they have that aha moment, and they finally start making some real money. I'm talking like life-changing, like being able to live the way they want to live. And those other guys and girls, they're good people. And the bad part is they feel like they're doing the right thing, but they're busting their ass and they're making nothing doing it. And half of them think they're making good, and they're not even scratching the surface. Like, these guys are like, man, I made $100,000. It's like a 25-year-old kid make like $275 last year, man, and he don't even know what he's doing yet. Like
I know. It sometimes drives me nuts, because I know there's even big business owners, all across the United States now that have, 5 years in the industry, 6 years in the industry, and they're killing it. They're crushing it. I applaud them. I think, hey, that's awesome. Don't get caught up in the hype though. You got to pay attention and like focus in where you're making the money, and what, like, really pay attention, and not to the KPIs, like all that bullshit. Like, I love a lot of the old school guys, and they have all their KPIs and this, that, and the other thing, but pay attention to your employees, pay attention to, the culture of your business, pay attention to your brand. What's the brand say? And really focus in on that before you start branching out to 90,000 other things, right? So that's one of the things that I really focus in on is, getting guys to understand there is so much money to be had here. The money is great. Don't get caught up in it also. If you do what's right, you're going to make the money.
Yeah, no, I agree. There's so many avenues inside of our industry that people don't even realize, and it's
there's the tech industry now. Like, look at how many tech guys are getting into our industry. How many guys are creating apps and different things, and I think it's amazing. I have an engineer in my office pretty much every day, and I don't mind saying who he is. He actually is the guy that created the license plate readers that everybody uses in the world now. From the police department to the CIA to the FBI to Interpol, he created that. This guy's a Rain Man genius, and he's working on a project with me right now. And I really feel like there's so many different avenues in our industry. I'm sure there's a couple of guys that purchased some companies recently in Nevada, Arizona, California, that literally went to college, came back and went, I'm going to buy this little company over here, and I'm going to all of a sudden blow it up, and then go over here and buy another company and blow it up. And good for them. I'm happy for them. The scary part is, for me, I'm old school when it comes to that portion of it. Understand what your guys are doing in the field, so you're not ripping off your customers. So me, growing up in the industry, if a customer will call me up and say, hey, I don't believe what your tech did is right, cool, let me come out. And I know some guys are so big now, they have 600, 700 employees, they can't go out to every call, but have a manager and come back and report to you, so you understand, hey, what happened, and know what hard start kit is, know what a compressor does, like be able to explain the operations of a system. And some guys don't. And that's my fear of our industry. And that's why our industry does get a bad name a lot of the time. You know, there is so much opportunity, and everybody, you know, I'm sure you know this, private equity and all these VCs are jumping into our industry left and right. Once again, it's a gold rush again. Awesome. I'm glad for everybody. I'm really happy. I'm talking some PEs myself. But also understand that that's what brings the bad reputation into our industry. It creates a bunch of whores, right? So what we really need to do is make sure that when those guys are coming into our industry as business owners, we should make sure that they're putting the right people in place to take care of our future clients. Because maybe you're getting out and you're retiring, you don't care anymore. Oh, well, but it's creating the next generation of thievery, right?
Yep.
So, and when I talk to private equity guys or VCs, you know, some of those guys are on the up and up. You know, they're very good, they're very educated, and they understand, hey, the business is doing great. I can tweak a couple things and add some more to the EBITDA. We're good. But some of them that I've met with, I'm like, wow, you're just going to cut everybody's throats in that business, and you think the business is still going to run that way? Like, it is a sales organization, but you also have to be a customer service organization as well.
Yeah, we got to talking about this last week with me, Everett, Lapel, and Tersh Bliss. Started talking about this a little bit because, sorry, this one in-ear monitor keeps calling out. Tersh and his co-host on the Service Business Mastery podcast interviewed somebody from the 10X, the Grant Cardone thing, and so we got to talking about this. And I know the big boys are coming in, just like, you know, Walmart and Angie. I think Walmart bought Angie or something like that. So Amazon's made their push. So that's several reasons. That shows how valuable we are, because all this money knows they can't replace us. They want to get in. They want to get into our market. They want their piece of the pie. But I agree. We have to have a bunch of owners out there that are, you know, their morals, their values are all in place, or we could really, really fuck the pooch, like fuck the good guy in this, because enough of that money starts getting in there, they're just going to start changing the way things happen, and we're going to be outnumbered, and there's not going to be shit you can do about it.
I agree. And, you know, it's very difficult because, you know, you have a guy that built a company from 0 to 50 million, 0 to 100 million, whatever you want to call it, 0 to 20 million. And now they're being offered, you know, a multiple of 8 or multiple of 10. For that guy to turn down that money, it's kind of crazy, right? So then you start going, okay, am I handing it over to the best and proper people? Does that guy really care? I don't know. And that's where it's very hard. You know, you got to look out for your family, what's best for your family. But also, I feel like some of us should really pay attention to the industry too, because that's part of the problem why we have a bad reputation when homeowners are caught off guard when we show up to the door in a suit like me. Like, they expect a dirty ass service technician that's smoking a cigarette. That's what, you know, the average Joe thinks that is coming to their front door. And it shouldn't be that way. They should just, hey, how you doing? Come on in. You know, you hear the white glove service, the white collar service, all these different things. Are they really giving that? And that's where it's really hard for me to justify some of these people or some of these companies that are doing what they're doing in the industry, because, you know, technical schools, you know, I deal with a lot of technical schools, and those tech schools, they'll send in guys straight out of school, come and interview with me, and they're expecting to get paid from day one, $100,000 a year, not knowing anything other than whatever they learned in their books. So I would love to see some of us get together and build a technical school where we can actually teach the guys how to run a real true service call, and get some of these guys that really understand what it takes to be a service technician, an installer in the blue collar trades. Not somebody teaching a book and literally going, all right, good, you graduated, you did your 9 months, you pay me $20,000 and go get a job. because you've met those kids, right? And when they come out of school, you're like, oh, this
They're
is
like,
not the industry for you.
yeah, they're like, I want 35, 40 an hour. I'm like, you can't change a filter. Are you kidding me? I can get on that topic, brother, and I'll be here all night because I hate those schools where it's get them in, get them out, get them in, get them out. They take these kids' money, and that whole thing like that is what's created people wanting to train people from within, getting
Yeah.
that guy who's a good person and just bringing him in and training them in-house. Just because a bunch of those big schools, the way they do, there's very few schools that me or the podcast will put my name behind or even talk about. So there is the Ultimate Tech Academy in Arkansas. What's the other one? The Ultimate Technician.
I don't know of one, to be quite honest. So I really couldn't tell you any of them. And I've spoken at most of them. Will they have me back? Who knows? Because, typically I lay it out for them. And I also tell the schools, hey, if you want to borrow an hour of my time, I can tell you how to run a service call, from start to finish. And then you should start implementing some of that stuff, or come and sit in one of my meetings. And then that way, you can come once a week, and then you can start implementing. And guess what I get from those schools? Zero interest.
Yeah.
They just want me to hire their techs as they come out of school.
Yeah, it's so technically there's only a few schools. There's those two schools that they're doing it right. One's like a 6-month, 7-month long course where guys stay there. It's almost like a HVAC college.
Oh, cool.
In Texas, like I believe what they're doing, and then Arkansas, it's good. They have very good courses to help technicians. It's not end all be all, but it'll give a guy a good foundation if you have a new guy come in and you want him to. He knows nothing, and you send him there. It's good. I mean, we send our guys there.
Gotcha. Nice. Yeah, it's definitely a different beast, and what's funny is I've talked to, I won't name drop, but some very influential guys in our industry, and we've talked numerous times about putting a deal together where we create a college, and basically it's order a tech, order a manager, order a dispatcher, that type of stuff, and just none of us have ever been able to either. It's bury the egos, too many guys have too big of egos, and I want it my way, I want it my way, or it's just nobody truly believes that we really need that. And right now at this point, I talked with a lot of you guys at the tactical, and I think we really do need it. And you could do so much through Zoom. It would be pretty easy to do, but I'm trying to figure out how to build an actual school in the middle of the states where we can start sending guys to and understanding. I had a kid in here the other day that he's been doing it for about 6 years, and I really liked him. And I said, "Why aren't you doing it yourself?" He's like, "I just passed my test." I'm like, "Congrats." So he's like, "Well, I need to learn a little bit more. I don't know anything about the back end stuff." And I said, "Well, that's where most guys go wrong. So yeah, you really need to learn that stuff." And I said, "Have anybody ever sat you down and looked at a P&L before and knew what's P&L?" So those are the type of things that, I feel like all of us could get together and start showing guys what this trade really can pan out to be. And that way we have good running competition out there as well. Right?
And more like a college. Imagine
Yes.
if there was a college, whether it was a 2, 3, 4 year, however long you decided to do it, but it actually offered HVAC and broke it down so that a person actually knew what they were doing. You had welding, plumbing, electrical. You actually had a true trade college where people were being taught the right things, and then you could have a business course. Hey, when you get out, if you decide that you would like to start your own business, they teach them the fundamentals or whatever, of a P&L, a balance sheet, how to read all these things, some things you should do to put in place. Give them, that could be like an elective class. I feel like something like that would be so valuable, and I think it would take off if done right.
Yeah, 100%. And, teaching guys how to do an actual install. You get a guy like Jeff, right? You know who I'm talking about. I mean, he's over the top, over the kill, like insane installer. And I always said I was the best installer in the world. After seeing his posts, I'm like, dude, you're insane. But getting a guy like that to actually teach guys, like, hey, take pride in your work. Like for me, I tell all my techs, all my installers, when I was coming up in the trades, the one thing I did was take pride in everything I did. No matter what it was, I was taking pride in it. So every panel, and I know guys are out there changing them out, probably hate those change outs that I did way back when, but literally on the back of the AC panel, the back of the furnace, I would sign my signature and then put the date. Every time. Didn't matter, because I felt like, hey, I'm an all-star. I'm a rock star. Somebody will want this autograph someday. And for me, that it was just me being me. But I tell my techs to do the same thing. Autograph it. Like, be proud of what you installed. Be proud of, if you're a tech, I hate going out and seeing technicians where you go out to the outdoor fan motor and they have a clump of wires zip tied in a knot and some electrical tape wrapped around, or the hard start is in a box, or the cap is still in a box where they got 4 caps tied all together and it looks like a bomb. You're like, what the fuck are you doing?
Banded.
Yeah.
He's in every state. You never see him though. He's kind of like Bigfoot. We all know he's there. You just don't see it.
But or the units sitting crooked, just all that stupid shit. And those are guys that didn't take pride in their work. They just were doing the job just to do the job and get paid and move on. And so, you call it the photograph, install, the picture perfect install. Every company has their own, whatever they want to call it. But in reality, it's just, hey, you're a professional. You get paid for a job. That's what makes you a professional, right? Right. So be good at what you do. But we have nobody really training these guys to do it, other than guys like you or me, or some of these other guys that are posting a lot. Like, I don't post a lot on my personal about HVAC. Guys will see us doing some big jobs or something like that, and I'll post. But guys really need to focus in on, and I tell everybody this, get your social media going and post about the trade. Post what is doing good, what's doing bad for you, what's going on, because then owners can start understanding, hey, we need to fix this. Hey, we need to fix this. Because the younger guys are going to be the ones that are posting about it, and they all talk about it, right? So I really feel like, you don't want to be on HVAC hack page, right?
Yeah, no.
But in reality, that should be a learning page, like what not to do.
Yeah.
Instead of just a hey, F you suck. It should be, hey, this is what not to do, and this is how you correct it. And I think that would be the approach.
Yeah, and helping each other, man. And there's so much of that, oh, my dick's bigger than yours, look at me, guys, like I always say this, and I know I feel like a broken record because I say it so much, but it feels so much better to build somebody up than it does to tear somebody down. And I love to help somebody in the emails and different things, just like, you probably get the same thing, Keith, emails or phone calls or whatever, and people say, thank you so much. I did what you said, it worked, and this happened, or blah, blah. Like, it means so much. Like, you can't put an amount of money on that. That's just, good for the heart, And I hate seeing, especially on the social media, and Facebook is known for it. It's so hard about Facebook sometimes, and it happens in my group. I'm not going to act like it doesn't. When a guy posts something, he literally says, like, hey, I've only been doing this for 6 months. This is my first install. Like, what should I do better? Like, he's asking for help. Help him.
And then they get torn. Then they tear him apart.
Yeah. Oh, you piece of shit. You might as well kill yourself. Why did you get into the trade? It's like, well, no fucking wonder people don't want to do this work. Like, what the fuck, man?
It really sucks, man. And you know what? I've been torn up left and right on social media, and I've gotten to have really thick skin when it comes to it. And like me and you talked earlier, if you don't have the haters, you're not doing something right. It's the absolute truth. You're gonna have haters no matter what. And I truthfully could give two shits. Like I really look at, let's figure out how to build up the guys, get them understanding what is right and what's wrong. You don't need to tell, like when people ask that, I always try and chime in and say, hey, that looks great. Maybe next time try this versus, a perfect example is my son. When he posts, he always hits me up in a DM real quick and goes, watch this. Everybody's going to tear me apart about something. And sure shit, people start tearing them apart. And I'm like, that's a good looking install. And as a dad, of course, yeah, hey, it's a good looking install or a great job on the service side, whatever it is. But they really they'll nitpick where you can tell they're taking screenshots, zooming in and trying to see, hey, the screw's missing a 1/4-inch turn or something. And you're like, why can't you just say nice install? Yeah. Some of these guys have done really well that promoting the industry. Subco's one of them. Solder Weld's another big one. HVAC Tactical U. You don't see the bashing, and I've been through the bashing side. Subco's one of them. Solder Weld's another big one. HVAC Tactical U.
Sorry, I don't know why this is.
Yeah, it went away. So
okay,
but
I got it.
I really feel like people have to take the good with the bad with the industry. And when you start getting that hate, ignore it. Who cares? Just move on. Keep on posting your stuff. Build your own brand. That's the only way you're going to learn. And you'll get guys that will comment. Tag me in it. I'll comment. I'll tell you, hey, that's a great install. Or, hey, maybe you should look at it doing it this way. That's the proper way of doing it. You don't need to go, oh, I don't like that fucker, so fuck him. I'm going to tear him up and talk all types of shit. Who cares? I grew up in a different place. I'm not from Newport Beach, I grew up in Northern California, small podunk town. We grew up where, hey, you don't like something, you tell the person to their face, and then you either lost a tooth or you got a tooth in your knuckle, Now it's, social media warriors, everybody's in there just going crazy, and it's like, dude, why can't we just, as a blue collar industry, just keep on lifting people up like you said?
Yeah, or it's they're trying to worry about being better than somebody who they're never gonna meet. They don't live in the same state, and if they happen to walk past each other, they wouldn't know. But
Yeah.
it's
Hey, you say that, and you know what? It's 100% true, because when I was at HR, there was so many guys that, hey, I just saw you. They DM me instead of coming up to me. And it's not like I'm some celebrity. I just don't. I know everybody's handles. I just don't know. Because a lot of guys don't put their faces out there all the time, or a lot of fuckers grow a huge beard and then the next day they're clean shaven and bald head. Fuck. It's hard for me to keep up, and I'm older, so it's like. My wife was like, hey, because she was with me, and she was like, hey, I think those guys want to talk to you. And I'm like, I just turn around and, hey, what's going on? I am like, I want to know everybody's story. I'm one of those guys that want to know how they got into the industry, how they're doing in the industry. Do they need any help? What's the next step? Like, that's how it should go. Not, oh, that's Keith Flores, fuck him, he thinks he's something else. Or, oh, that's such and such, fuck him, he thinks he's bigger than everybody else. It shouldn't be that way.
no.
It really shouldn't.
And
no matter how much me talk about it, it's always going to be there.
Well, very, very true. Granted, me and you sat at the same table at the Tactical Awards, but you were very easy, approachable. I said what's up, and we talked. You know what I mean? It was very easy. I guess people think I'm easy. I'm a whore, I guess, because they come up to me. They're not scared. Some people, I forget, somebody came up to me at AHR and called me some other name. They were like, oh, hey, like something. I'm like, I don't even know who the fuck that is, but yeah, good to see you. Whatever.
I think a big problem, especially with me, is like people see the way I dress and they think I think I'm holier than thou. It's not that at all. It's more that I look good, feel good, that's why I dress the way I dress. You know, some days you'll catch me, I'll be in jeans and a t-shirt and a hoodie and a hat. But most of the time on normal business days, I'm usually wearing a suit or at least something nice that I never know what type of meetings I'm walking into, so I always am prepared. That's just how I am. And I learned that years ago. I I worked for a big, massive corporation that was a national company, and probably a month into working for them, they made us wear a suit and tie every day. And here it's 125 degrees out, and guess what? I'm having to wear a suit and tie. And then I started understanding what the reasoning for it was. It just made us feel like we were not just blue collar, we were more business guys now, and we were learning an industry now, and we were growing a multi-billion-dollar business. And it was very educational for me to understand that portion of it. So now, you catch me on the weekends, you'll probably see me in like a pair of Red Wings and a pair of 501s working in my yard or something. It just, you never know. But
Yeah.
that's where I think where people see and hesitate to come up to me because they think I'm this person that everybody sees, as not a blue collar guy. I'm 100% blue collar. Like, doesn't
It's all
matter.
it's all about you want it. Just because you were successful and you like nice things doesn't mean, you know what I mean? We all work for
Yeah.
something, and it, sometimes we want different things, I mean, and that's what you wanted. You put in the work, and you fought the fight to be able to get those white collar things, So
Yep.
who
Yep.
cares? I I like to be comfortable, but there's other things that I like to splurge on, that I like to do. Although I did feel good getting dressed up, getting that tux for the tactical awards. I do wish I could get dressed up more, because Tersh is the same way. Tersh Blissett, he wears a suit every day. I mean, that's all. That's just how he lives, and I'm like, that's awesome, dude. Like, good for you. Like, that's cool. If that's what. And sometimes it's a lot about your identity and your personality, and who you are. And if that's part of who you are, then fucking so be it. You know? Um,
And that's what a lot of people, from where I grew up as a little farm town, Northern California, and, it was Red Wings, goat ropers, Justin boots and
Goat ropers.
Wranglers, Wranglers every day, and then as I just kept on elevating myself, I started seeing, and I started looking at mentors, and I started paying attention, and people addressed them differently, even though we'd be standing in the same room and I'd know more about what I was talking about, and they'd be wearing like, a nice suit, and they'd be addressing them over me. And then I started going, okay, wait a second, what's going on here? And it's not that I just I like my clothes. I like my guns. You go into my house and I got a shit ton of guns. It's what I always tell people I'm the best of both worlds. I grew up small farm town. Now I kind of live the city life, but I'm still that same guy.
Yeah. It's so Newport Beach. Where is like where you are now? What is that like? Is that by LA? Is that southern? Is that northern?
Southern. So it's Orange County. We're right on the water.
Oh,
You've heard Huntington Beach, Laguna Beach. We're right in the middle. We're like, and I sound like a pompous asshole, but best, like the best place to live is Newport Beach, like by far. You have the best restaurants. I think a teardown in Newport Beach right now is probably about $2 million, and it's a teardown.
mm,
Like the real estate's stupid here, but I like it because it's pretty red. We're our own little state in here, and it's just one of those places that this is where my wife grew up, so we got family always at the house, and I enjoy it. But we've been talking about getting out. I want a second property in Montana. The wife wants either Texas, South Lake, Texas, or I forget what city in Tennessee. It's a small town right outside of Nashville, that she's been talking about getting another home at, and we don't know. With the politics and everything, the way it's going, who knows?
Yeah, it's hard. I told you, my wife still wants to go to Texas. I got family in Texas. That's what I was gonna go to Texas until I met Ryan, who I work with now. Um, that's where I was going. But it's hard for me because all my family is here. My brother, my sister, I'm close with. My mom, even though I know if I left, my mom would go with me. But is that fair to my siblings that I'm taking my mom with me? I got a nephew that pitches for the Naval Academy, which is
Oh, that's
right
awesome.
here. Yeah, which is right here. So it would. I'm not gonna say I would never do it, but it would be a hard decision. And but every time you go visit some of these other places, it's harder and harder to come back to this fucking hellhole. I will say that. Like I said, Baltimore, we're the only place that we burn our own fucking city down.
That's it. That's it. So we're in a bubble. So Newport Beach is like in a bubble. Like we're in a like the crime's very low. We Newport Beach is its own little area. Now, LA is, depending on the time of day, LA is either 45 minutes away or it's 2.5 hours, depending on the time of day that you go. Um, LA is just like crime ridden. It's terrible place to go visit. I have my CCW, so anytime I go, I'm like, all right, I gotta pack everywhere I go. It's a pain in the ass. But now it's starting to filter in this way. We're getting more and more break-ins down in our area and that type stuff. And it's because, the DA is like literally not doing anything for crime. Anything, I think it's $500 and above, they don't even bother prosecuting anymore. So like, it makes no sense. We got people literally in one of the richest per capita areas in the world pitching tents in front of our houses now. And you call the cops and they're like, yeah, we'll go talk to them. And then you go back and they're still sitting there. It's just very different.
Was it Newport Beach, or it might have been? It was actually in. Yeah, it was close to L.A. It was one of the nicer neighborhoods where they said there was like bums outside and they're like shitting in like the middle of the road because when they got forced out during COVID, and you'd call the police and they'd come back and be like, well, I don't. Like, what do you want them to do? Like not shit in my front yard. That's what I want them to not do. Like, what do you mean?
I think that was Bel Air, but yeah, it definitely it definitely has changed. Joe Rogan got out of here, Elon Musk got out of here. All these places are pulling out, and it sucks because like 2 days ago, I'm swimming in my pool. It's 85 degrees out, and then I look at everybody else. All these fuckers are sitting in there in the snow, and it's freezing, and they're like DMing me, "You're a prick." You're posting that you're swimming with your kids. I'm like, "Yep, that's California." So it's one of those things you got to weigh it out, and it's hard. I keep on telling my wife I want to move to Montana, and she's like, "What the fuck is wrong with you? You know how much snow you're gonna get?" And blah blah blah. And I'm like, "Yeah, but it's its own little country out there, I feel, and eventually we'll probably get out of here." But that being said, my businesses will stay here.
Yeah. I have a cousin in Montana, and she loves it. Like just walking. Or no, I'm sorry, I take it back. She's in South. I don't know where the fuck she is. She's in one of those places. Montana, South Dakota. I don't know why those
Yeah.
two seem familiar, but she loves it because she is always carrying. Her and her husband are always carrying, and she's like, I go to the grocery store. It's right here. I go, mailbox, it's right here. She's like, if I want to open my back door and I want to shoot something, I open the back door and I shoot something. That's how it is around here.
Yeah, it's totally different. So out here, my wife, me, and my son all have our CCW. They just got theirs. In California, it used to be very hard. I've had mine, I don't know, probably 8, 9 years. used to be very hard. You used to have to go through tactical training, then you got to go through an interview process and meet the sheriff and do all this stuff, just to get your CCW. Now with COVID and all the new regulations and laws, the sheriffs are going, we can't protect you. Tell you what, why don't we do a Zoom meeting and we're going to go ahead and give you your CCW. So you don't even meet with the actual sheriff anymore. I had to go down and meet with the actual sheriff and go through the process. Now you have to still do a tactical and you have to do some training, but then you meet with basically a secretary, and she does the interview and then she approves you or not, doesn't approve you. That's it.
That's crazy.
And it was never like that before. When they started doing the defund the police, the two local sheriffs said, all right, we can't help you, so help yourself. And they really started jumping out and letting people start getting their CCWs.
Well, that's awesome because you can't get it here, man. It's Baltimore, Maryland is like Nazi Germany. I'm serious though, man. Like you can't get it. I mean, my brother has been a federal agent like for a long time, and the day that he stops and tries to go get one, they won't give it to him, which is fucking absurd.
It is absurd.
Yeah. It's because we're so close to DC, so you got all that bullshit you got to deal with. That's what sucks, If Maryland wasn't so close to DC, like the state itself is very beautiful. There's things to do. It's just the political bullshit that runs off is what makes it hard sometimes. It really, really does.
Yeah, I don't go dive down into politics that much, but what's funny is I was telling somebody this the other day is pre-2016, I never talked politics. And then all of a sudden 2016 happens and people are telling me how I can and can't vote. All of a sudden I became political with family, with friends, like all of a sudden. And before we used to be able to have a conversation like me and you were having. Now it's like, if you're on one side, you're good. If you're on the other side, everybody hates you. So it's like there's no happy in between, and that's where we all went really wrong with this whole society, I would say.
Well, and it's just I don't like it where information was being withheld from us, or they chose to give us what they want. I liked it back when the news gave us. They gave us the cold hard facts, and then it's up to us to make
The
our
news.
mind. Yeah, exactly. To do what we want with it. And then also, me and you can be friends, but we can disagree on a topic. Now what do you mean? You don't think the same way I think? Oh, well, we've been friends for 20 years, but fuck you, man. We can't talk anymore. What?
Yeah.
Like, that is the most fucking ludicrous thing I've ever heard. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah. Yeah. And if you fly a flag in your front yard, you're, a racist. You're like, what? Huh? Wait, what country are you in? Like, this doesn't make any sense to me anymore.
Yeah.
I came from immigrant parents, and so it's like, for me, when people say stuff to me, I'm just like, you have no clue. Just move on. Like, just don't bother me.
Yeah, and it's just funny that like when some people say things and they have no reasoning. Like when people say something outlandish that I 100% don't believe, and I will just entertain them and be like, okay, well, why do you feel that way? Because I do. Okay, well, what the fuck does that mean? Okay, like, like,
Yeah.
all right, like, okay, like, argue your point to me. That's not arguing your point, and it just, it's funny. I mean, so I won't lie. Sometimes it's scary as a parent, knowing that you're raising children and the stuff that goes on. It's definitely a crazy world out there, and all the stuff that we've been. Just think of all the stuff that's going on with the COVID and the different things, which I just had COVID. I mean, technically, I still do. I've just had it long enough that I'm not fucking killing anybody, giving it to them. But just think about this, like at AHR, we touched on this on the last podcast about how many fucking IAQ companies are popping up now. Like, everybody sells IAQ now. Some of the products don't even fucking make sense, but somebody's gonna buy it. Somebody's gonna sell it for a little bit. So I think that's getting ready to saturate the fuck out of the market, is gonna be these goofy off the wall IAQ products, because the whole world is going through a pandemic. You know, it's
Yeah, I'm pretty blown away by some of the shit that I get sent right now about indoor air quality products. I've been doing this way too long, and a lot of times I'll reach out to Steve Moores. I don't know if you know what that is. He runs Dynamic Air Solutions, which he's been in the industry probably in the indoor air quality market, probably I'd say late 80s. So he's like an OG making one of the manufacturers, Dynamic Air Solutions. Yeah. Um, but I'll ask him certain things about certain products, and he like, Keith, that fucking shit don't work. Like, come on. And he'll tell me, hey, that's a good product, or hey, that doesn't work. And it's just one of those things. Everybody's trying to capitalize off the market right now. Hey, we'll sanitize your old house. We had a real estate agency hit us up the other day and say, hey, we just sold to a buyer. The buyer wants to move in right away, but the people had COVID, a month ago. They want the whole house sanitized. Can you come in and sanitize the house? And I'm thinking to myself, I can fucking charge them $10,000 and take a shit ton of, Clorox wipes in the house and just wipe it all down, or just tell them, are you kidding me? Like, is this real? Like, we'll put some air scrubbers in the system and like that'll help, but it's not, COVID's not there anymore. They had it a month ago. Like, move on, just move into the house. Like, we just kind of laughed about it. It's like, but I guarantee, Coit carpet cleaners are running over there and cleaning that house and tell them, hey, we're disinfecting your entire house. We're gonna take care of you. It's called the COVID special. It's just pretty insane. But that's capitalism at its best. That's that's what happens.
Yeah, it is pretty sad, and it's funny. You live in these different states, like we live on opposite sides of the country, and yet things can be so different, but the same at the same time.
100%. Out here we're a real, and just like where you're at, very liberal state, and I have customers. Even today, when I had to go run 2 calls, one customer, I walk into the house and they asked me to put on a mask and all this other stuff, and I'm like, they wanted me to put on gloves. I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. But I'm thinking to myself, do I really want to go through all this headache right now? But it's making the customer feel good. Fine. I don't have to believe in your politics, but now I have to believe in what you think it is. But I'll go ahead and do what you want. And then the very next customer was like, I had this mask in my pocket. I go, do you want me to put on a mask? No, I don't believe in that shit. And it's just a whole different ball game again.
Yeah, thank God we don't have any of that. That's just like the people that they're driving by themselves, but they wear a mask. It's like, it's where you contaminate yourself.
I see it.
You contaminate yourself. What are you doing?
I was trying to take a picture of a guy a couple days ago. He was in his Lamborghini, top off, right? Mask on, by himself. And I'm sitting there going, bless your heart.
Yeah, it's funny. It's actually, let me click on this again before I had all this stuff over here on the side of the screen trying to pay attention to some of these, getting these comments from YouTube, but it I don't know. It's good. I can't see some of the faces from people from Facebook. Hey guys, we are so we're at 9:40, so we've been going for a little over an hour. If you guys have any questions that you would like to ask, go ahead. I'll leave us some time before we start to rock and roll to start moving towards the end. But put them in all caps if you have any questions or a topic you'd like us to talk about, and we can definitely do that. I know some people have come in. Thank you guys for being here. We've gotten up to quite a few live viewers between all of we were, I think the most we got up to was like 112 at one time. So I'll take it. Yeah, I used to do the live shows a lot, and I got away from them. So it's only been a little while that I've gotten back to them. So a lot of people don't even know. A couple people have said that. They're like, "Oh, Gil's doing the live shows again." You know, it's like, yeah, I'm doing those again. Make sure you're here.
I like doing the lives. I've done quite a few podcasts. I like when it's real and genuine, not chopped up. It's for what's funny is you said you've been doing this about 4 years. About 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, my wife was like, "You really should start doing a podcast." I'm like, "It's too saturated, like I don't have the time, blah blah blah." And then it was like probably 2 years ago. I went, "Yeah, I'm gonna get into it," and then never did. I bought the entire all the gear and everything, and I was like, I'm gonna launch one. Never did it, and then I started doing other people's podcasts, and I was just it's a lot of work. So I got to commend you because what's great about podcasts, it spreads the word a hell of a lot easier than me going out and talking to 10 people. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's very cool that you guys do it. I look up to all of you guys, because it does. Besides the time and effort, you have to really put yourself out there to start the podcast because, that was one of the things that always, cracks me up is so a lot of guys think, oh, okay, I have 5,000 followers. I'm going to get 5,000 listeners. No, you're going to get probably 10, 15 listeners out of that deal. Like what it takes to build the momentum and keep the momentum going. Hats off to you, man.
Thank you, buddy. I really appreciate that, man. It's a lot. Like, it's funny because I start to look at the analytics. Like I remember the first time that we got 1,000. I got 1,000 downloads on one episode, and I was like, woo, like this is great. And then it got to be like 20, 30,000. Like, and I'm like, damn, like, and when I'm editing stuff, and I'm like, why do people listen to this? Like I don't know why people listen to me. And people are like, well, Gil, you say sometimes, or and I'm like, well, because I'm not a radio host. Maybe I pretend to be one, but I'm an HVAC tech, and that's what I'm good at, and that's the message I'm trying to spend. And I think more people see the reality in that and the trueness of the message versus, I mean, obviously I want to try to deliver it in the best way possible, to sound the best and quality-wise, and you get better as you go, but we're not radio hosts. We're HVAC guys trying to, fill a void and stuff like that. So, it is a lot of work, and I don't know how I got to this. So last, just a little, it still means the world to me. I've already announced it a while ago, but back in June, I broke 1 million downloads in 4 years, and
Fuck. Congratulations, man.
thank you. And it's crazy. I can't believe that people. Granted, that's not 1 million people, 1 million downloads. That could be 20,000 people just
Hey,
downloading it.
it's still big. That's a huge number.
Yeah, it feels awesome that I don't know. I guess little old me goes out there and tries to help, and that many people actually listen and take it. It's pretty awesome. People are talking about something for $22. I'm not sure what they're talking about. I see it in comments 22. I'm not sure what they're talking about. You get it. Yeah, I'm not sure.
I just barely opened up all the comments.
Yeah, it's starting to wind down. I think between the two, there's probably only like 50, 60 people watching right now. Thanks, Ryan Hughes. I appreciate you being here, man. Thank you for the support. Thank you for all of you came in and you watched this. Oh, they're talking about this symposium, the one that Brian Orr, HVAC school, is having down in Florida. It's
Oh,
awesome.
gotcha.
Yeah, I didn't get to go. I know some people that are going. Obviously, Miss Jessica Egan there. All my buddies from HVAC Overtime, as well as Chris Stevens, HVACR Videos, who is also in Overtime, is there. So I know that's a good technical thing that they do there. Because I will say, as far as technical, two guys that I think speaking of YouTube, when you were bringing up your son and stuff like that, um, uh, Brian Orr with HVAC School, one of the smartest guys I've ever met in person. I've had the pleasure to be able to meet him several times, and his wife. He is an awesome guy, a smart guy, and provides a lot of technical knowledge to guys out there wanting to learn. The other one is Mr. Craig. I don't want to say Craig's last name, Ron. I don't want to butcher it, but he is AC Service Tech on YouTube. Awesome guy. Got to meet him and his wife this year. They are two.
Yeah.
If you guys are trying to learn technical, and you're trying to be a better tech on that aspect, the technical side, watch those two channels. They're the ones that I think will give you the most bang for your buck. So, just my opinion.
Somebody asked, what are my thoughts on starting a commercial HVAC company. I'm trying to scroll through. Sorry if I missed anything. An HVAC commercial company. Start with the maintenance contracts. Understand what you're going into. It's a different beast. My brother-in-law, who got me into industry, he's had a big commercial outfit out of San Francisco for, I'll say the Bay Area, for probably 30 years now, and he's done really well for himself. They probably do 25 million a year, which is awesome. You just it's a different beast. You gotta go down and sit with commercial guys and understand. You gotta land the maintenance contracts first. You gotta start laying it out. It's not just a matter of just going and bidding a couple commercial projects, new commercial projects. You gotta understand that side of the business and dive into a couple companies that understand that side of it. But I think all aspects of the industry are great. Depending on what you want out of the industry or what you want out of the business. Some guys are more the 8 to 5 guys. Those are the commercial guys, I always say. Unless you're a reefer guy, doing refrigeration, those guys are 24/7, because if a fridge goes down, hey, guess what? You're running.
Yeah.
But it really depends. That's such a vague question for me. So I'm more of the residential side. I do handle commercial projects when they come up, because a lot of my customers and clientele are high net worth individuals. So they have commercial buildings and they go, hey, you guys did my home, do this project for me. And they just hand them over to us. So we do touch that.
Yeah, and I tell people, and that's fine, because there's so many different avenues. Like, there's not a right or wrong. It's about what you want. If you want to do residential, great. You want to do commercial, great. You want to do industrial, do that. It's fine. We don't have to have those fights against each other, because it really does. And it's all about what kind of person you are, what you want. Like Ryan Hughes, Hughes Man, HVAC YouTube channel, said he loves commercial. I started out doing all commercial, industrial, and I kind of just backed my way into residential and fell in love with it. I liked dealing with people, helping people, and I was dealing with the person. It was their money that was spending. I hated. I didn't like in commercial dealing with these retarded managers that want to be assholes. And it's not their money they're spending. Like, well, I'm not going to get a bonus now. Well, then what the fuck do you call me for? Like, I didn't just show up because I wanted to be here. Like, like that kind of stuff got old. But I do like both sides of it.
You know what I used to love on the commercial side? When me and my brother-in-law were doing projects, we did some some clean rooms in Silicon Valley, and it was really cool because I am one of those guys that walks into a building and always looks at the ductwork. Like, no matter what, I look at the HVAC systems, and I love seeing the exposed stuff. And that's what my brother-in-law, taught me a lot of that, how to make it look beautiful and exposed, and, showed me how to do, a lot of guys don't realize this, but me growing up in the industry and learning table layout, I can do square rounds still to this day. Like, you want to throw some tools on the table and think I don't know what I'm doing? Trust me, I know what I'm doing. We used to do radius gutter, out of copper, because a lot of the beach houses, like even here, a lot of the gutter is copper, a lot of the wall to roof's copper, the Z-bar, the deco tops, all that type stuff. So I used to be able to, or used to have to fab all that stuff up. And when you screw up a sheet of copper, guess what? The boss is not happy with you. So we had to really perfect it. We didn't have these CNC machines, and we were bulldogs cutting it through, and
Yeah.
using brakes and Pittsburghs and stuff, So big difference. But
Yeah.
I love seeing the big commercial projects.
They are.
My brother-in-law just said, he just was telling me the other day, they just did a 200 tons on a Sunday. And that's, they're sending me pictures, and I'm like, God, I miss that type of stuff. Because seeing those massive pieces of equipment going up onto a roof is just amazing to me.
It is crazy. And then seeing some of the technology with the VRF stuff,
Oh,
how we can be, heating one space and cooling another. So we're literally taking the heat we're removing from this one and dropping it in this space. I mean, the way we can control humidity and different, technology is pretty fucking amazing. Like it does, when you learn some of that, and like you think and then you learn, like somebody explains it to you who really knows it, and you're like, fuck, we can do that? Like, like, damn, like I didn't even know we could do that. That's amazing. I thought that was like alien technology. Like, fuck.
yeah, no, it's pretty amazing. My son, he's got me really going down that rabbit hole of VRF, and I'm working on a couple different little projects with my engineer for VRF systems, and trying to raise the bar. But it is, we have a house right now. We're getting ready to do 15 systems in it, and we're putting 3 outdoor VRF units. The house is getting 30 tons of air, and putting all these air handlers everywhere, and we're retrofitting the house. And
The
my
house
son,
is getting 30 tons of air. The house.
yeah,
Holy
you wouldn't
dog.
believe some of the houses down here, brother. Like
No,
I'm telling you,
I can only imagine, but 30 ton, god damn.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, we're literally my son is like walking me through. I'm like, oh man, do you really want to get into this? And he's like, I love this. And I'm like, all right, cool. Let's attack it. We got to charge right. Yep, no problem. And the people have the money. They want the best, and they're getting it.
That's awesome. The son who
Now it's now it's the turn time. Like,
Yeah.
when can I get that equipment? Like,
Yeah.
how long is it going to take to get the equipment?
That's funny. We'll go into that topic real fast before we end this. Your son that works with you. How old is your son?
22.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah, he goes by the moniker, of course, HVAC Jesus.
That's funny.
Yeah, he gets to piggyback off me quite a bit, which hey, I'm a dad, cool. I think he's done very well. A lot of people trash talk him, and I always tell him, hey, don't worry about it, just brush it off. Reach out to the guys that are trying to build up the industry. Don't worry about all that other bullshit. It's all fodder. Who cares?
Tell me, should have been HVAC second coming or something. You know what I mean?
Well, now I have Junior, so I have a 22-year-old, and then I have Junior's 18 months.
Oh.
And Junior we already started his own Instagram, HVAC God Junior, JR, just because I didn't want nobody to steal it. Eventually he'll be in the trades.
That's awesome, man. I have my gap's not as far. So I have 4 children. I have a 16-year-old boy, a 13-year-old boy, 6-year-old daughter, 4-year-old daughter. So we'll see. None of them in the trade yet. My oldest son is he's a Division I prospect for baseball and football. He's a really, really good athlete. Worried now if you have, mostly all the people who listen know he got the second shot and started having the vaccine and started having heart
Oh yeah,
issues.
we were talking about that.
Yeah. So he's all right, but that worries the shit out of me. That's a whole nother fucking, problem to worry about. But I hope he doesn't have to do HVAC. I hope he gets to fulfill his dream and do whatever. But if not, he's the one that I know would be in this trade with Dad. So
Yeah,
we'll see how
that's
it goes.
very cool. I have my daughter, so I have 22-year-old 20, uh, getting ready to turn 4, and a 1.5. So my daughters, they can basically literally do whatever in Dad's eyes, and Dad's always happy, whatever. Um, I actually talked to my wife the other night about my oldest daughter. Maybe I should put her as a tech because she's more like me. She loves to talk and hang out with people and be very interactive. And the problem is it scares me some of the areas, and a young pretty girl going into homes. I have to literally, my hats are off to HVAC Jess and those girls that are in the industries, and they're crushing it, because I've always said women will crush the industry.
Mm.
If you get a handful of them, they'll kill us. Like, it doesn't matter. They'll out close deals, they'll out tech us, because they want to prove that they are better no matter what. And it's just, I think that's amazing for the females to get into the industry.
It is, and speaking of that, like some of the ones that I've met in the trader, I know, like Miss Jessica Egan, she's doing amazing. The women in HVAC are seeing what those women, like some of those,
Yeah.
they are bad chicks, like they are no joke. Like some of them hold some very powerful positions. Some of them are just technicians. But what they do for the women in the industry is, that whole movement is only going to get better, and more power to them. I can't wait to the day that I can hire the first woman tech that works for me. Like, I haven't had any apply. I want them to apply. And you just don't see it around here, but I can't wait for the day that I get one that I can, because I'm looking forward to it.
Years ago, I hired quite a few women in the industry. They were real estate agents during the big crash, so they didn't know what to do, but they knew how to door knock, they knew how to close deals. So I started training them, and they crushed it. And then they started making too much money, and they got big heads, and I couldn't, they didn't want to wake up early and be at the meetings at 7 a.m. And so it was very difficult, because, you took people that were in real estate market, mortgage market, and put them into the trades. They were used to the white collar, and then now they're making really good money in blue collar, but they didn't want to do the blue collar aspect of it, of crawling in attics, going underneath homes, and that type stuff. So it's definitely, I'm excited for what the industry has in store for females, for our industry. As long as, I see Jessica's on here, as long as people like her keep on putting out the good that they're doing and just showing, hey, it's a great industry. You can do it too.
Yeah, that's for sure. How big is how big is your company? Like, how long? I mean, do you have like is it like a lot of people, or?
No, no. So this is more my, we'll call it a startup, 9 months old, 10 months old now. Um, third company owning.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
sold. So I've done this multiple times. Um, did very well on 2 of them. Another one didn't do so well. A lot of people heard all types of craziness about it. I don't even care. I just kind of leave that one sit there and let everybody wonder what happened. And then this one, this is my legacy play. I'm putting a lot of things into this one where I never did before, like bringing in, a full-time engineer to help me design some stuff, and really try and figure out how to be a disruptor to the industry, and not your typical disruptor. So I am really hammering down on being a disruptor right now, and I can't wait. I can't wait to show everybody what's in store. Because if you think about it, in reality, there's nothing. Think about this. You've been doing this long enough. There has not been anything in our industry significant change. We we put a Nest thermostat on. The SEER went up a couple. Like there hasn't been anything.
No.
The sales process has gotten really good. But what else? There hasn't been no game changers yet, and I want to be that game changer. That with my engineer, I'm definitely. I've been working on this thing for quite a while, and now I brought the right engineer in. I'm excited about it. I'm excited about showing everybody what the possibilities are for our industry.
That's awesome, man. I can't wait. Definitely, like, let me know when that comes out, because I can't wait to hear about it. I love things like that. I agree. I think our trade is behind the eight ball. I don't think we're as far along as an industry as we're as far ahead as an industry as we should be compared to some other
Oh,
industries like the automotive and other things like that. I feel like we should be way farther. But so when somebody's got to grab the bull by the horns and start making those advancements, you know what I mean? Somebody's got to take it upon
yeah.
themselves to do it.
And we've done a lot of research trying to figure out if anybody's even trying to do what we're doing, and nobody is. So I'm excited. Um, it's revolutionary. It's gonna piss off a lot of big boys, not necessarily the big residential companies, not the big commercial companies, the actual manufacturers. I think I'm coming for you.
That's
So we'll see what happens.
that's awesome, man. Well, it's almost 10 o'clock over here, man.
Yeah.
So normally I try to keep it an hour to an hour and a half, because when the audio version of these go out, you leave them too long, people are going to start fucking wrecking their vans riding down the road. But Keith, thank you so much for coming on, dude. It's been awesome to meet you and come on and chat with you. Please, you're more than welcome to come on and we can talk if you ever have something new going out that you want to talk about. Obviously, this thing you're talking about, that whenever that happens, I would love to be one of the ones that gets to speak to you about it. It sounds like it's going to be awesome, and I have no clue what it is. It just sounds like it's going to be awesome. Um, yeah, definitely come on, man. I appreciate you, man.
That's awesome. I appreciate you, and I love everything you're doing, man. It's really phenomenal. Keep up the good work, and congrats on the million downloads. I mean, that's don't look at it any other way than that's fucking awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm definitely going to keep going, and I want this to stay fun. You know, I have businesses that make money. Um, I don't do the podcast to make money. Yes, there's some sponsors that kind of make this machine go, so it doesn't cost me money. But I do this for fun and for the love of of the trade. I don't see myself unless some things change. I mean, hey, if I could be a full-time HVAC podcaster, that would be great. But that's never gonna happen. I mean, if you're not in the field that you love every day, it's kind of hard to know the ins and the outs and what's going on.
Yeah,
So you know what I mean. The fact that I'm in the trade is what gives me something to talk about every day. I'm glad I got a. Actually, I'll guys see if I can grab it without. I'm gonna choke myself with those earbuds and trying to reach over the table like. um. Guys, before we end the show real fast, just so you know, I have these giveaways here. I'll go to my single screen real time. Let me switch cameras real fast. Oh, never mind. That one's acting stupid. Hold on. God damn it. I didn't switch to the other one all day. There it is. I have this Klein HVAC
wow.
meter that I'm giving away, and I also have this Supco YS inspection camera. So guys, please, first thing you have to do is please make sure that you follow me on all of my social media platforms. So I will give you a hint so you're not chasing them. Make sure that you follow me on Instagram. you are subscribed and the bell notification hit here on YouTube, please join the Facebook HVAC Uncensored Nation Facebook group. And like the HVAC Uncensored podcast page, like that, and review the podcast. Okay, so you do a little bit for me, I do a little bit for you. It just kind of helps this grow so we can get out to more people to help more people. And yeah, so I'm gonna let that go for like a week, and then I'm gonna do something to be able to pick a winner. But I'm gonna verify all those, and if I don't see your name on all of those, then you won't be able to win, and I'll end up giving it to somebody else. So,
Hey, real quick, Gil, man, Subco, you got to give it up to those guys. I got to meet, the owner and the vice president, and we had a long conversation for quite a while. And it was those guys. I got to give it up to them for what they're doing with the Trade Fox whole deal and trying to help guys. There's so many things that I really look up to those guys. That I got to applaud those guys as well. So cool.
yeah, they're amazing people. I love any kind of affiliation with any kind of stuff that they have, man. It's they are doing good things, and then also just all the stuff that they put into the Tactical Award Show, with Lance and Soderwell
Yeah.
and Ben with HVAC Tactical. Yeah, definitely an awesome place. Yeah, man. Keith, thank you once again, man. I appreciate you, buddy. It looks beautiful out there in Newport Beach. It's cold as balls and not beautiful where I am. But definitely stay in touch, man. Guys, go follow Keith on Instagram, HVAC God. And the HVAC God, that Facebook group, that is you too, right?
Yeah, so there's a Facebook group. I haven't done nothing with it in a long time, but there's a lot of guys post on there and they'll post their own stuff, and I don't censor it at all. There's a HVAC God, and then there's two pages. One is a private group and one's an open group. But yeah, my biggest thing with that, I originally started posting, how to fix things and that stuff, and then just as time goes on, you can't keep up. I'm you gotta pick and choose your battles.
Yeah, it's a lot, man. The Facebook group here is like a full-time job. Thank God for the people that help donate their time with it, because there's no way I could do all that by myself. This podcast is hard enough being a one-man show, but it is what it is. Thank all you guys for listening, man. I appreciate you guys coming out here and watching this. Remember, every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I will be here. If it's not here right at 8, just wait a couple more minutes. I'll come in. Sometimes it's give or take a couple of minutes, but right around 8 o'clock, I do have some amazing guests coming up. I have some of the women at HVACR. I have Mr. Joe Casera, Uncle Joe, coming on with me. I have the president of Blue On is coming on. I have it's a bunch of them. The podcast now is with all I sent out is I saw this morning is booked out until probably mid-May. But I have some people that I want to get on, so I might do some specialty shows like another night, just because I don't want to make these people wait until summertime. So we'll see. And plus, sometimes I like getting on here doing the live streams where I have no guest. It's just me. And that way I'm just interacting with, because when I'm here doing a podcast, I'm talking to you. We're having a conversation. The chat's having their own conversation. The live streams, I can actually be here and like interact with them the whole time. So I just try not to do those for as long. They're just like short, half an hour, get in, get out kind of deal. If you haven't noticed, I'm a rambler, so we'll be here all fucking night. Keith, thank you, buddy. I'm going to end this real fast, man. Have a good night, buddy. Stay in touch, and please, you're welcome back here anytime, my friend.
All right, cheers. Have a good one, man.
Thanks, buddy. All right, everybody. Let me close this bad boy out, man. Thank you guys, man. I appreciate you being here. Remember, always be safe out there. Always make it home the same way that you left. Guys, do the little things to be better than the next guy. Let's be better together. I always say that. All right, do those little things. Set yourself apart. Constantly be learning. There is always something to learn. You can never know everything. There's no such thing. Put in that work. All right, but I'll let you go. Until next time, I love you guys. Remember, I'm always here to help. Reach out to me. HVAC Uncensored at gmail.com. Hit me up on all the social media sites. If I can ever help you in any way, I'm always here to do that. Until next week, I love you motherfuckers, man. Have a good one. Peace.
Thanks for listening to the HVAC Uncensored podcast. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Instagram, or email us anytime at hvacuncensored@gmail.com. Now, get back to work. Shut this down. The views and opinions shared on the HVAC Uncensored podcast may not necessarily be the views and opinions